I invite you to pray. Guide, we pray, O Lord, all to whom is committed the government of this borough. Grant them gifts of wisdom and understanding, of counsel and strength, that they may consider all questions calmly in their deliberations and act wisely and promptly, upholding what is right. We pray for the people of our borough. May all share a vision of community which inspires all works. Help us to be a people at peace among ourselves and a blessing to others. We pray for all those who are in need, those who care for them, all who are anxious, afraid. We give thanks for those who work to ensure our safety and security, those who uphold the law. And at this time we remember all who suffer through violence, warfare, crime, exploitation or neglect. May the strength of God pilot us. May the power of God preserve us. The wisdom of God instruct us. His hand protect us. His way direct us. This night and always. Amen.
Item agenda 1, apologies for absences. Are there any apologies?
We have apologies from Councillor Cortez.
Thank you. Item agenda 2, members, all councillors having a disclosable pecuniary interest in item 9 of the agenda related to the report of the independent remunerations panel on councillors' allowance. The monitoring officer has granted dispensation to all members to take part and vote on this item of business. Are there any other members interested to declare? No, thank you. Item 3. Members of the meeting held on 26th of March 2025, an annual council held on 20th of May 2025. Are the minutes of the 26th of March and 21st of May agreed, members? Agreed. Thank you. Agenda item 4, Mayor's announcement. That's me. Just before I became Mayor, Deborah and I had the privilege of representing Castle Point Council at the King's Garden Party at Buckingham Palace. It was a wonderful day. Since becoming Mayor, I've attended many events throughout the borough and Essex. This has given me the opportunity to meet dignitaries, residents, voluntary groups, businesses, schools, children from our borough. The mayoral events can be very varied. Last week I attended the Mayor of Brentwood's civic service, attending an evening with the Triple H Choir and a Cockney Pie and Mash Knees Up with Canvey Dementia Group. I am looking forward to the rest of the mayoral year. I would like to thank the Reverend Marion Walford for my excellent civic service at St Nicholas Church. I would also like to thank Kate and John Knott for being my deputies, and also thank Mace Bearer Sergeant Josh McCoy from funders of the ATC group. Finally, I would like to further thank my mayoral support team and Deborah, who ensure everything runs smoothly. Business from the last council meeting, agenda item 5. Members, there were none. Agenda item 6, urgent decision taken by Cabinet. Members, there are 2 urgent decisions that were taken by Cabinet on the Essex Local Nature Recovery Strategy and on the public consultation relating to the renewal and expansion of the Public Spaces Protection Order. These are set out in item 6 report. Is this noted, members? Agenda item 7. Report from the Cabinet and committee members to Council. Members, there are none. Agenda item 8. Appointment of committees. Members, the next item of the business relates to a pro rata position in respect of the composition of committees for the remainder of 2025-26. Members, an addendum has been published on the Council website. This sets out final nominations for the Climate Policy and Scrutiny Subcommittee. Copies of this have been provided this evening. Miss Law, the Council Assistant Director, Legal and Democratic Services and Monitoring Officer, will introduce the report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members, this report sets out the proposal for the discharge of business for the remainder of this municipal year following the recent borough by-election. The Council is required by legislation to report the composition of members to Council following an election as soon as reasonably practicable. The Council must allocate seats on committees and other prescribed bodies to give effect to the political balance rules as set out in Appendix 1. The rules for the allocation of seats are set out in sections 15 and 16 of the Local Government and Housing Act 1989 and the Local Government Regulations 1990. Section 15(5) of the Local Government Housing Act 1989 sets out the principles and is referred to in 4.4 of this report. For political balance, the definition of a political group is required to have at least 2 members in order to be formally constituted as a political group. Council is also asked to approve a small amendment to the terms of reference to the Staff Appointments and Review Panel to include sickness absence, and also the substitute members in Appendix 2 and the addendum. Mr. Mayor, the recommendations are set out in 3.1 of this report. Thank you.
Members, I will move the three recommendations set out in paragraphs 3.1 of this report. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Blackwell. Members, we have a motion for debate. Would anyone like to speak on the motion? Councillor, are you happy to vote on the 3 recommendations altogether? May I have a show of hands for those in favour of the motion? May I have a show of hands for those in favour and a motion, those against? Anyone against? No. Any abstentions? One. Right. Thank you, Council. That is agreed. Agenda item 9, report on the Independent Remunerations Panel on Councillors' Allowance. Members, the next item relates to the report of the Independent Remunerations Panel on its review of the Council's allowances. Miss Law, the Council Assistant Director, Legal and Democratic Services and Monitor Officer, will introduce the report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members, we are required to establish an independent remuneration panel under the Local Authorities Members' Allowances England Regulations 2003. The purpose of the panel is to review the allowances paid to councillors. These include allowances for councillors' basic duties, special responsibilities, childcare, travel and subsistence. The panel makes recommendations to the council on the appropriate level of payments to be made. The allowances are a reimbursement for the councillors' time and expenses in carrying out their public duties. The panel is made up of members of the public who are independent of the council. And although we are required to review the member allowances every 4 years, the last time a formal panel was convened was in 2015 and no changes have been made since. Council in October 24 made a decision to convene an independent remuneration panel to review the council allowances, and a further report be presented back to this council with the panel's findings and recommendations. The panel's recommendations are set out in section 3 with regard to the basic allowance, travel allowances, subsistence, childcare and carers allowances. Council must have regard to the panel's recommendations in setting the scheme, but it does not have to implement any of the recommendations. The recommendations were made by the panel and are comparable and benchmarked with other authorities within the county. Once agreed, any amendments will be made to the Constitution to reflect the Council's decision. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry. Councillor Blackwell, as leader, do you want to move the recommendation?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will move the recommendations 1, 2, 4 and 5 and move the recommendation that 3 be replaced with the following recommendation: that there be no change to the current annual travel allowance and details which is set out in paragraph 6.5 of the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would happily second that. If I may just say a few words.
Yeah.
Thank you. Obviously, it's a sensitive area and people don't realise that councillors have full-time jobs, and this can be a barrier of entry if people need childcare or to be reimbursed for their time. I think someone recently did a back-of-the-envelope study, and if you look at what we get paid on an hourly basis, it's definitely below the standard wage, perhaps going into a few pennies depending on how many hours you've spent. In true Conservative style, the previous administration have not addressed doing our allowances since 2015. So like most of the other things that we've had to deal with, we're now dealing with that today. 10 years. If you look at the allowances of what we are now getting, it's a 26% increase for 10 years. In real terms, it should be 57.8%. I fully support this, and that's why I've seconded it, and it's something that's well overdue.
Members, we have a motion for debate. Would anyone like to speak on the motion? No? Council, are we happy to vote on the 5 recommendations altogether? May I have a show of hands for those in favour of the motion?
Unanimous, that's agreed.
It's unanimous. Okay, thank you for your vote.
Sorry. No, okay.
Sorry?
So ask for those.
Those against? Sorry? Right. 2. Any abstentions? Right, okay. Thank you, Council. That is agreed. Agenda item 10, returning officers' fees and election expenses 2025 to 26. Miss Hutchins, the Council Chief Executive, will introduce the report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members, I bring this report to you every year for transparency. You'll be aware that the conduct of elections and compliance with the statutory roles of returning officer and electoral registration officer have independence from the council, and that the council is obliged to provide funds to enable those statutory duties to be fulfilled. So it is only right that there should be transparency of budgets. Every year I review the fees primarily to reflect changes to the national minimum wage and any guidance provided by government, and that is what I have done this year to recognise the increase to the national minimum wage. Our fees are benchmarked and in line with the scale set by government, so members, this report is for you to note. Thank you.
Members, are there any questions? Members, are recommendations 1 and 2 noted? Thank you, Council. That is noted. Agenda item 11. 1. Verbal update from the Deputy Leader and Cabinet Member for Strategic Planning on the Castle Point Plan, Regulations 19 Consultation. Councillor Gibson, can you please provide Council with your update?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I think as I set out the report and my update at Cabinet, I don't think there's no need for me to repeat it. So what I'll do, I'll pass over to my colleague, Councillor Copsey, who is Cabinet Member for Strategic Planning, and then open it up to any other members that wish to have anything to say. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Copley, would you like to add anything to this update?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I've prepared a few words on this as it's such a key point for the Council regarding the plan. The Castle Point Plan lays out a bold and community-led vision for sustainable growth across the borough, with a strong commitment to protecting green spaces, enhancing infrastructure and meeting housing and economic needs. Developed through extensive community and stakeholder engagement, the plan is a response to the unique challenges and opportunities of our small borough and reflects a careful balance between growth and environmental stewardship. At its heart, the Castle Point Plan takes an urban-first approach, focusing development within existing built-up areas to preserve the green belt and safeguard areas of ecological and heritage value. The plan aims to deliver a total of 6,196 new homes over a 17-year period, prioritising affordable, well-designed housing for young people, families, the elderly, and those with specialist needs. Emphasis is placed on the reuse of brownfield land and urban regeneration, where appropriate opportunities exist in the borough. Whilst acknowledging that this housing number is far short of the government housing target for our area, it is, I believe, a sufficient amount to meet our genuine local need. The plan is supported by extensive, robust evidence which has been professionally prepared. The plan also promotes a resilient and inclusive economy, encouraging the renewal of outdated employment areas, supporting local business and aligning new development with skills training and infrastructure. Improvements in town centres, transport connectivity, active travel options and digital infrastructure are key priorities, ensuring accessibility, sustainability and long-term prosperity for the residents of our borough. Environmental protection is a key feature, with the plan aligning closely with the South Essex Green and Blue Infrastructure Strategy and the Essex Local Nature Recovery Strategy. It seeks to enhance biodiversity, manage flood risk and ensure new development contributes to net zero carbon goals, water efficiency and climate resilience. Through its strategic policies, the Castle Point Plan provides a positive and deliverable framework that reflects what the community has repeatedly asked for, a local plan to protect our greenbelt. It is designed to reflect the aspirations of residents while being compliant with national planning laws, ensuring Castle Point remains a vibrant, healthy and attractive place to live, work and visit, while carefully managing future growth to protect the borough's unique character and quality of life. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Copsey. Members, before I invite questions, can I please remind you that decisions around approving the Regulations 19 Castle Point Plan for public consultation was made earlier this evening by the Cabinet. I will therefore not admit any questions relating to the contents of the plan, nor would it be appropriate to ask questions about any comments on the plan that may have been circulated on social media. The public consultation will open on the 1st of August, at which time residents and members of the public will be able to submit their comments on the plan. I would urge residents to do so. Would anyone like to ask the question? Councillor Lillis.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, I'd like to say a special word of thanks to the Deputy Leader of the Council and Chair of the Castle Point Plan Board, Councillor Warren Gibson, for presenting the draft Castle Point Plan this evening. Having sat on the Castle Point Plan Board since May 2024, I have seen firsthand the huge amount of work that the board and officers have had to put in, all under Councillor Warren Gibson's wise and dedicated leadership. Tonight is a very significant milestone. Just compare the draft Castle Point plan to the Conservatives' local plan of destruction that they tried so hard to force upon our borough. A plan that would have decimated huge swathes of our greenbelt. Had this administration not withdrawn the Conservatives' rotten local plan, then many of the greenbelt sites that they so readily offered up for development would have been concreted over by now, lost forever. But there is one thing that Conservatives are good at, and that is trying to rewrite history. So, for the record, let me remind you that the Conservatives' local plan contained 15 greenbelt sites, including land west of Benfleet, which is Jotman's Farm in case you ever need to drive a tank there, land between Felsted Road and Catherine Road, land off Gliders, which is Reeds Hill Farm, land east of Rayleigh Road, land at Brook Farm, land at Oak Tree Farm, land north of Grasmere and Barrowdale Road, land at Gleeblands, The Chase, and land both east and west of Canby Road. Members, cast your minds back, if you will, to 05 May 2022, after we had finally wrested control of the council away from the Conservatives after almost 20 years of their maladministration. Something that members won't be aware of was amidst all of that understandable joy and relief at the election count, the now leader of this council walked up to me in a remarkably calm manner, shook my hand and said this: "We are going to listen to our residents." And I think those words speak volumes both of the leader of the council and of this administration. The difference between us and the Conservatives couldn't be starker. The Castle Point plan is a testament to us listening to our residents. We listen to our residents on the doorsteps, something that the Conservatives failed to do. And we have listened to our residents since being elected. Again, something that the Conservatives most certainly failed to do. Our residents repeatedly told us that they wanted us to try and save our precious greenbelt. That is borne out in the resident-led Castle Point plan. Our residents spoke and we have listened. They said, we did. And what of some present-day self-called greenbelt campaigners? They supported the Conservatives' plan to decimate our greenbelt. They vilified our urban-first approach. Where were they when we attended protest meetings at Jotman's Farm, Brook Farm, Oak Tree Farm, Reeds Hill Farm, and other sites across our borough? Sadly, the plan won't be universally popular. No plan is. 6,000 extra homes for our borough is a huge number. I get that. But please don't lose sight of the fact that the number of homes that we are proposing is around half of what the government is wanting. Members, make no mistake, there are big challenges still ahead of us. We live in remarkably difficult times in terms of local plan making. But we as a council will face those challenges together and with our heads held up high. Now is very much the time to back the plan. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lillis. Councillor McCarvey Calvert, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say a few words regarding this borough's emerging local plan. As we take the next step to the next statutory step towards Regulation 19, and possibly echoing some of Councillor Lewis's points. We're legally required to have an up-to-date local plan, and this administration has taken that obligation seriously, alongside the democratic mandate we were elected on. When the People's Independent Party came into office, we made a clear and principled commitment to withdraw the previous plan. That plan, sacrificing nearly half of our borough's green belt, it was unacceptable to our residents and it was unacceptable to us. We promised a credible, evidence-led alternative, and this new Castle Point plan delivers just that. The government's housing target, over 14,000 homes across the lifetime of this plan, was based on the standard methodology, a centrally imposed formula that has been widely discredited by planning experts, councils and communities nationwide. It takes no account of geographic and environmental constraints like ours and imposes arbitrary figures that threaten to decimate green spaces and accelerate unsustainable overdevelopment. This administration has taken the responsible route. We've conducted a comprehensive local housing needs assessment built on robust current evidence. That assessment confirms that just over 6,000 homes are required to meet our actual local demand. This figure reflects our true population growth, our demographics, and our already overstretched infrastructure. Importantly, it still allows us to deliver affordable housing and sustainable development where it is genuinely needed. It is also worth noting that the new government has indicated the flaws in the standard methodology. There are strong signals that future planning reform will pivot away from the top-down targets towards locally assessed need, and that shift validates the direction we have already taken. This plan strikes the right balance. It meets statutory obligations, it is based on sound, objective evidence, and it protects the identity, heritage, and the green belt of our borough. And let me be clear, we never promised no development. That was never a viable position, and we were never naive enough to rely on wish lists and populism. We are not anti-build, we are pro-community. We support sustainable, appropriate development, but we will not accept unjustified housing targets that threaten the very character of this borough and the well-being of future generations. And I want to be absolutely clear on one more point. Canby Island is not the sacrificial lamb for this borough's housing burden. Yes, due to the physical constraints and policy protections across much of the mainland, the majority of the new housing allocations do fall within the urban footprint of Canby. But that does not mean Canby is being abandoned or left alone to cope. We are committed to robust planning controls, master planning and infrastructure-led development. Where development comes forward, it must contribute to real investment in services and community facilities. This plan sets a clear expectation. Developers will not dictate the future of Castle Point, our community will. And I want to thank the Plan Board, our officers and all of those who have contributed to the development of this plan. It is thoughtful, legally sound and aligned with the values and the responsibilities we were elected to uphold. And I hope members across the chamber will join me in supporting this important next step. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Blackwell, please remain seated, if you wish.
Thank you for allowing me to stay seated, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I've listened to everybody and you know, thanks for what they're saying. I've sat here, been here many years, and always, the one thing I've always done is, and my party has fought against development on Greenbelt. And I was dismayed when the Tory administration voted in favour of a local plan which would see huge areas of our Greenbelt swamped, and what everybody said, by now they'd be ploughed up and be built on. Everybody says to me, we don't want any more houses. Look, we're being forced by the government. Every council is being forced by the government. We can't say we don't want any more houses. The government is forcing every single council in this country to build 1.5 million houses. I will say this, especially people in Canby, where I live, and I've lived there all my life. I know the roads are absolutely diabolical, but I don't see any large-scale development going ahead on Canvey Island until the road infrastructure is put in place. Now, we should be saying to the government, listen, if you want these houses, then make sure you put the money into our roads, because we need that. I get fed up. Everybody on Canvey, everybody in the borough gets fed up. One little accident and the whole place comes to a halt. We all sit in it. And I get fed up when governments keep on saying you've got to build, build, build. And then they say, but you must put the infrastructure in. Hang on, you put the infrastructure in. We need good roads. They've just cancelled the widening of the A12. That took 10 years to be put in place, and the government has cancelled the widening. Now, that has affected 25,000 properties which had local plans to be built. They've had to cancel that because of the government. Now, how does this government expect councils to build houses when you're bumper to bumper virtually every day? And I would say this, you know, we will make that point to government, because I don't think the government are going to come in and say, there's the money, but we should say to them, you want the houses, fix the roads first. And I will actually make sure we carry on campaigning for better road access, especially on Canvey and the surrounding areas. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Blackwell. Councillor Huntsman.
Thank you, Mayor. I mean, a lot of the points have been very eloquently and explained with a lot of passion. And for my part, like many of the residents here, I have genuine concerns over house numbers, but like it's been said, remember it's Angela Rayner, the Deputy Prime Minister of a democratically elected government, that has made these very forceful demands. And Councillor Gibson and his team, who've got my full support, are doing their level best to mitigate this. Now, it's not been mentioned, but it's on everyone's lips. Record immigration has in no small part increased pressure on housing nationally. In fact, it's projected that 5 out of 7 new homes will go to migrants. Yet, strangely, some of our loudest critics locally are the very supporters of the previous government that allowed levels of immigration of over 1 million in 2023 alone. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome Councillor Langley of Reform UK into the Chamber, and I look forward to working with him. He stood, I believe, on a platform of trying to stop development, which is a very noble cause. And I'm not being facetious when I say this, but I ask him a one-word question, and that's how. Also, does his suggestion of limiting development extend to new affordable homes for local young people and families, which is very passionate for me, because when I started out many years ago, I had to get 3 times my salary. Young people now have to get 8 times, which is impossible if the banks will loan to them at all. And I think it's very important that we concentrate on our local people, young people and families. And so I actually welcome the affordable homes, which is set out in the Golden Rules. I think that's a step forward. So all in all, I also back this plan. Thank you.
Councillor Langley.
Thank you. Thank you to Mr. Councillor Hunt for your comments there. With your question, I think you're absolutely right. Certainly, Councillor Blackwell is absolutely right with his comments. Infrastructure needs first, and I think we all understand that houses are going to come. Affordable houses need to come, but I absolutely think the infrastructure must come first. Plans must come first, and that should be pursuant prior to any sort of mass housing. I'm not sure how the plans are going to work with timescales. Obviously, there's 2,700 homes planned for Canvey West. That's a concern for a lot of members of my ward. And like I say, we would like that addressed, the traffic infrastructure addressed quite early on before those plans proceed forward.
Thank you.
Sorry. I'll start again. 2. Revised Local Development Scheme.
Sorry, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Ainsley.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I couldn't let this evening pass without just mentioning. I'm a reluctant councillor. I have a full-time job, but in 2022, or 2019 in fact, when the Conservative administration brought forward this plan to decimate the borough's green belt, I, like a lot of my colleagues, felt that we had to do something. We had to put ourselves forward and stop this plan, which is exactly what we did. We were elected on a mandate from the public to protect our green belt. That's what we've done. Now, I am a champion of localism. I believe in localism. I've been trying to protect Jotman's Farm, for those of you who know me, for the last 17 years. We want to continue. The people in here that aren't going to be happy with the plan, I understand that, but I ask you to complete Regulation 19. Respond to Regulation 19. It is your prerogative to discuss the plan amongst yourselves. Don't do it on Facebook. Don't just argue on Facebook and take councillors to task. Respond to Regulation 19. That is the way to do it. That's what the inspector will see. So I beg you, please, if you're unhappy, respond to Regulation 19, and you should be thanking the councillors here for all the work that they've done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ainsley. Are there any further questions? No, thank you, councillors. 2. Revised Local Development Scheme, an update on the progress of the Castle Point Plan. Miss Parrott, the Council Assistant Director, Climate Growth, will introduce the report.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and good evening, members. The paper you have before you as item 11B on your agenda this evening relates to a point of procedure in respect of the Castle Point Plan. Legally, you are required to prepare the local plan, your Castle Point Plan, in accordance with your local development scheme. It sets out the programme. You last updated your local development scheme in January 2025. However, as a consequence of the advice from the Planning Inspectorate via an advisory visit in February 2025, and following the late publication of the Greenbelt Review guidance by the government on the 27th of February 2025, additional work has had to be undertaken on the plan, which has delayed progress. We are now back on track, and as you've just discussed, we are proceeding to consultation in line with Regulation 19 of the local plan regulations. This report asks that you adopt a new programme for the local plan that sees the Regulation 19 consultation undertaken in August and September, and then sees submission take place in November. Practically, this means that during August and September, residents and other stakeholders will be invited to make their views known on the Regulation 19 Castle Point Plan. They will be able to do this online, by email or in hard copy. The documents will be available online and in local libraries and at the council offices. When the consultation closes on the 26th of September, officers will create a consultation report which sets out the key issues raised through the consultation. That document, along with copies of all of the original representations received from anyone who chooses to reply, will be packaged up and ready for submission to the Planning Inspectorate. All of this work will take around 6 weeks. We will then be in a position to move towards submission. The decision to submit a plan is the responsibility of council, and therefore a meeting of council would take place where the submission of the plan will be considered. If the council agree to submit the plan, the programme will then proceed as set out in the report, with submission in November and the examination thereafter. Failure to update the local development scheme to reflect the updated timetable is a legal risk to the successful examination of the plan because it is a legal requirement. We can avoid this by approving an updated local development scheme this evening, and that is attached to Appendix 1 to your report. You are therefore recommended to approve the local development scheme. I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Are there any questions? Members, I will move the recommendations set out paragraphs 3.1 of the report. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Blackwood. Members, we have a motion for debate. Would anyone like to speak on the motion? No? Members, the motion is that local development scheme be approved. May I have a show of hands for those in favour of the motion? Those against? Those against? One. Those abstaining? No. Thank you, Council. That is agreed. Agenda item 12, a report from the Leader of the Council. Councillor Blackwell, will you please present your verbal report to the Council? You can remain seated.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to provide an update on some of the key areas of business dealt with by the Cabinet since the last ordinary council meeting held on March the 26th. On the 23rd of April, the Cabinet agreed to publish an empty homes policy setting out the Council's approach to identifying empty properties within the borough which fall within the definition of empty homes, in respect of which the Council has statutory duties and powers and setting out how these statutory powers will be used. This will assist the Council in reducing the number of empty homes in the borough and to return them to a productive residential use so they might increase the supply of housing to help meet the various needs of all our residents. Cabinet also approved the discretionary disabled facility grant to enable works to be completed on disabled facilities adaptation for the benefits of a child living within the borough. Cabinet also approved a social media policy for council. On June the 18th, Cabinet agreed to publish a direct award to Bifta Waste Services to ensure the continuity of the service for Materials Recovery Facilities, MRF, and delegated authority for the procurement and award of a new MRF contract and a new contract for garden waste disposal. Cabinet also agreed to approve additional investment for refurbishment of the Knightswick Shopping Centre, which will create a brighter, safer centre. A new accessible entrance doors will be installed, more efficient lighting, Wi-Fi and digital screens to enhance the customer experience. Cabinet also endorsed the use of rollout of a new Castle Point active logo for the Council's recreation services. A new consistent marking and signage will be installed in prominent locations at the Council's leisure facilities, providing a cost-effective way to raise the profile of the Council's recreation services and increase the uptake. In April, the Cabinet member for Special Projects and Assets approved a new lease to Canvey Island Town Council at the Paddocks and granted a new licence to the Monica Amusement Limited for the former Fun Island site. Canvey Island in June had approved a new lease to the Thorney Bay Pavilion, South Benfleet Pavilion, Unit 2 of the Knightswick Shopping Centre. In June, the Cabinet member for People and Communities approved a public consultation on the reintroduction of nighttime street lighting across the borough using Essex County Council street lighting infrastructure. In addition, he approved a public consultation in July on the renewal and expansion of the Public Space Protection Order for Roscommon Way and Canvey Island. May also take the liberty of asking residents if they want our street lights to stay on all night, which a lot of people say it makes them feel a lot safer. Please fill in the consultation that runs until August. Thank you, members. That concludes my update.
Thank you, Councillor Blackwell. Agenda item 13, questions from the public. Members, there are none. Agenda item 14, members' questions. Members, there are none. Agenda item 15, notice of motion. Members, there are none. Item 16 on the agenda, petitions. Members, there are none. Members, before closing the meeting, can I invite Councillor Blackwell to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to introduce the Kev's information video, which will then be played on the screens. Mr. Mayor, the one thing we've got in this borough is amazing voluntary groups, and I've met an awful lot of them, and they work tirelessly across the whole borough. The one thing people used to ask me was, how do you contact some of these people if you've got a problem with Alzheimer's, if you've got a problem with other things, mental health, who do you contact? And cabs do an amazing job, but how do you get that message out? So I managed to get some funding from Essex County Council and also match funding by ourselves. And so we produced a video which we will be promoting, hopefully across doctor surgeries, the sports centres, social media, which outlines exactly what is available for our residents across the borough and what wonderful voluntary groups we do have in this borough. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
My name is Councillor Dave Blackwell. I'm the leader of Castle Point Council. One of the things that I've always wanted to do was make sure the council had a partnership with our voluntary groups. So we set up a really good partnership with CAVS, and as you can see, we decided to have an open day for all the community groups. The one thing I was keen on is that I didn't want any resident to be sitting at home alone wondering who could help them. So what we've done with this partnership is to show people never sit alone. There is people out there to help you. So we hope to spread the word, and as the local authority, Castle Point, with all these wonderful community groups across the borough, we will help spread the word so that people know who's out there and where they can go for help.
The Castle Point Association of Voluntary Services, known as CAVS, is a local charity which provides advice and support to residents who have concerns and who are in need of assistance, be it matters that relate to family, finance, housing, health or well-being or other circumstances. If you're worried and you don't know where to turn, then contact us. We work with many community groups and partners locally, and together I'm sure we'll be able to help you. Call us on 01268 214 000 or email office@cabs.org.uk.
Our family mentoring service provides early intervention and support for local children, young people and their parents. Early intervention is so important as a preventative approach to what is often very difficult circumstances. Our family support practitioners are skilled and experienced, and together with trained volunteers, they offer a package of support tailored to meet the family needs and bespoke parenting courses. We accept referrals through the CAVS website, cabs.org.uk, using our digital referral form. If there's a problem, call us on 01268 214 000.
I'm Roy. I'm a volunteer supporting the tremendous work of the Castle Point Association of Voluntary Services, and it's a great charity to be able to assist. Have you thought about volunteering? Do you have time that you can give? Do you want to help others? There are many volunteering opportunities where your skills and personal attributes can be utilised, which will positively impact not only other people's lives, but will be rewarding for you. Find out more and call us on 01268 214 000 or email volunteering@cavs.org.uk.
Peabody are a social housing provider. We support across Essex. Here in Castle Point, we support from 16 plus. We support with housing, benefits, debt, and we can signpost to other organisations. We are here to help you flourish and thrive. If you feel that this is a service that you require, then please visit our website for further information.
Carers Choices is a charity that was set up because we recognise the pressures and the struggles that are placed upon unpaid carers, and we wanted to provide some sort of support in the form of respite, whether that be inside or outside the home. All of our staff are trained and qualified to give you complete peace of mind whilst your loved one is in care with us. For support inside the home, we have our home help service, community care and hospital discharge. Outside the home, we have our specialist day centres. Silver Birch is a centre for older adults and adults that are living with dementia. We're an activity-based centre providing cognitive stimulation for all of our clients. We're very fortunate that we have a fleet of minibuses, so not only can we provide door-to-door pick-up and drop-offs, we can also access the community and take trips out as well. For more information, give us a call on 0300 302 1212 and one of our friendly team will be more than happy to assist.
Trust Links is a local independent charity for mental health, wellbeing and the environment. We grow communities and transform lives through a range of projects in Castle Point and across Essex. Our Growing Together community gardens are a safe, welcoming and supportive space for people with mental health issues and learning disabilities to meet others, learn new skills and help to tend the garden. The Recovery College and Wellbeing Hub helps build knowledge and skills to better manage mental health. Thundersley Youth is a great space for young people of secondary school age to enjoy positive activities and meet others. We have run a centre in Thundersley for many years and are really excited to be launching and running the Gunny on Canvey Island this summer. Check out our website trustlinks.org and our social media for more information and to get in touch.
Castle Point Police respond to and deal with all types of situations in our neighbourhood. We have response and community officers, domestic abuse investigators, criminal investigation teams and other specialist resources from across the force. You may have also seen our special constables who give up their own time to support local policing. All of our officers work together and with other partner agencies to prevent, respond to and investigate crime and antisocial behaviour. If you need our help or want to report a crime, you can do so online at www.essex.police.uk, through our live chat function or on the phone via 101. In an emergency, always call 999.
I think we all agree that that's a very good promotional video. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say, so my wife currently suffers from dementia and I've been really, really struggling. I'm here tonight because we've got a carer and I think that's fantastic, Dave. Today I visited Silver Birch. I put my wife in to go one day a week. And I only found about a lot of this stuff through going over to Canvey, to King's Club and meeting people there. And over the last 8 weeks, I've had more help and assistance and funding and all the things that I desperately needed over the last couple of years that I'm not aware of. So I think it's very important that across this borough we try to help our carers because we are struggling. And I think this is fantastic. I just wanted to say that. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks very much. Like I say, a very good video. We are going to the Dementia Centre over at King's and we're going to present them with a cheque for £360 for their refreshments throughout the year. Okay? Right. Thank you, members. And that concludes the business for the meeting. Thank you all for attending. I declare the meeting closed at 24 minutes past 8. Thank you.
Be upstanding for the Mayor of the Castle Point Borough Council, Councillor Barry Capania. That's okay.